my dear learners, for this course on heat transfer. In this module 1, we are discussing on introduction to heat transfer and steady state one-dimensional analysis in heat transfer. In our previous lecture, we have discussed about basic modes of heat transfer and also laws governing the basic modes of heat transfer, and we have solved few basics problems on Fourier law of conduction, Newton's law of cooling, and Stephen-Boltzmann's law of radiation. Continuing our discussion, in today's lecture, we are going to discuss general heat conduction equation in Cartesian coordinate system. Let us quickly move on to the topic. If you want to derive the general heat conduction equation in Cartesian coordinate, let us consider a volume as shown in the figure like this. Let me consider a volume like this. Let the volume of this element be dx, dy, and dz. Let there is an heat conducted to the system along x-axis be qx, and heat leaving in the x direction be q of x plus dx. Similarly, heat entering this volume in y direction be qy, whereas heat leaving this volume in y direction be q of y plus dy. Similarly, heat entering this volume in z direction be qz, and heat leaving in z direction be q of z plus dz. Now let me place this in a Cartesian coordinate system like this. Let this be x-axis and this be y-axis, z-axis, and this be y-axis. So we are considering an elemental volume as shown in the figure, wherein which the heat entering the volume be qx in x direction and leaving is qx plus delta x. Similarly, I wrote the entering and leaving of heat in all the three directions. In addition to which, there will be an internal heat generation of q dot, watt per meter cube. In addition to which, we are considering an internal heat generation of q dot watt per meter cube inside this volume. Now, if I write energy balance to the system, so from energy balance, I can write net heat conducted into the volume per unit time plus net heat generated inside the volume per unit time must be equal to increase in internal energy of the system, increase in internal energy of the volume per unit time plus work done by the volume per unit time. So if I write the energy balance for the system, net heat conducted into the volume per unit time plus net heat generated inside the volume per unit time must be equal to increase in internal energy of the system plus work done by the system. Now let us take each term as, let us take this as term 1, this as term 2, and let me take this as term 3 and this as term 4. Now individually I want to calculate the values of term 1, term 2, term 3 and term 4, and substituting to this energy balance equation I will get the general heat conduction equation for the elemental volume shown in the figure in Cartesian coordinate system. Let us discuss one by one. If I take term 1, considering term 1, so from the figure we observe that heat entering the volume per unit time is because of conduction. So therefore I can write it as Qx in x direction is equal to Qx, which is nothing but minus Kx area along x direction dou T by dou x. So I am using partial derivatives because temperature is a function of space, that is spatial coordinates x, y and z, and also it is a function of time. So now similarly if I write heat leaving the volume per unit time along x direction is given by q of x plus dx, which can be written as qx plus dou qx by dou x dx. This you people already know. So now if I calculate the net heat accumulated along x direction will be net heat accumulated per unit time along x direction will be, so qx is entering whereas qx plus dx is leaving, so therefore net accumulation is what is entering minus what is leaving. Leaving is qx minus dou qx by dou x dx. So therefore I can cancel off qx and qx. So net heat accumulated will become, substituting to the value of qx as kx area along x direction dou t by dou x, I will get minus of minus will become plus thermal conductivity along x direction. Coming for area along x direction, I should take area perpendicular to the direction of heat flow according to Fourier law of conduction. Area perpendicular to x direction will be dz dy. So therefore area perpendicular is dy and dz times we have dou square t by dou x square dx. So this is the net heat accumulated per unit time along x direction. So similarly if I write for y direction, I will get now net heat accumulated per unit time along y direction will be equal to, it is qi minus dou qi by dou y dy. I will cancel off qi and qi, so remaining is this one. So therefore minus of minus is plus. I will get thermal conductivity along y direction. Now area perpendicular to y direction, will be dx dz. It is dx dz times we have dou square t by dou y square dx dz dy. Now if I write the net heat accumulated per unit time along z direction will become, so I can write this as qz minus dou qz by dou z dz. So therefore qz will get cancelled, minus of minus will become plus, it will become thermal conductivity along z direction dou square t by dou z square. Now area perpendicular to the direction of z, is dx dy. So therefore area is dx dy into dz. So dz is from this expression, writing it along z direction. So therefore we have calculated what is the net heat accumulated per unit time along x direction, y direction and z direction. So therefore the total heat conducted from all the three directions will become, so therefore we have calculated the first term, that is net total heat conducted into the volume per unit time from all the three directions. That is, the term 1 will be equal to, along x direction it is kx dou square t by dou x square. Let me take dx dy dz common, plus ky dou square t by dou y square plus kz dou square t by dou z square. Throughout I can take multiplied by dx dy dz. So this is what we have. Next, coming for the second term, net heat generated inside the volume per unit time. So if I go for term 2, net heat generated inside the volume per unit time will be equal to, we have q dot watts per meter cube as heat generation. So I want it in watts, so therefore I should multiply volume meter cube. So therefore it is q dot into volume is dx dy dz, where q dot is heat generated per unit volume. Heat generated per unit volume per unit time, which is in watt per meter cube. So I want net heat generated inside the volume per unit time. So therefore I multiply volume to the net heat generated per unit volume. So if I multiply volume, I will get q dot into dx dy dz. So we have done with term 1 and term 2. Now moving ahead for term 3 and term 4. Now moving ahead for term 3, if I move for term 3, it is increase in internal energy of the volume per unit time, which is given by increase in internal energy of the volume per unit time. We know that formula for internal energy is given by mCp dou T by dou T. Now I don't know what is the mass of this volume, but we know that mass is equal to density times volume. So therefore, if I know what is the material of this volume, I can determine the mass as density times volume. So therefore I can write it as rho Cp dou T by dou T. Volume is dx dy dz. So this is because mass m is equal to density times volume, where volume is known to us, it is dx dy and dz. So thereby we have calculated the increase in internal energy of the volume per unit time, which is rho Cp dou T by dou T dx dy dz. We are using partial derivative because temperature is a function of space in more than one direction, and also it is a function of time. So now moving for the last term, that is term 4. If I move for term 4, that is work done per unit time by the volume is equal to 0, because it is not doing any work. The volume is not doing any work, so therefore term 4 is equal to 0. Now we have calculated term 1, term 2, term 3 and term 4. So therefore substituting in equation 1, let me take this as equation 1. So substituting in equation 1, we will get substituting in equation 1, we can write the net heat conducted into the volume per unit time is written as kx dou square T by dou x square plus ky dou square T by dou y square plus kz dou square T by dou z square. So we have taken dx dy dz common. Dx dy dz is the first term. Coming for second term, we know that it is q dot times dx dy dz. This must be equal to increase in internal energy, which is given by rho Cp dou T by dou T dx dy dz plus term 4 is 0. So this is what we got after calculating all the 4 terms individually and substituting to energy balance equation. So now for I can cancel off dx dy dz by taking throughout common. So I will take dx dy dz throughout common and cancel off both in LHS and RHS. And if I consider the homogeneous isotropic material, so I will get the final expression as for homogeneous and isentropic materials. We know that kx is equal to ky, which is equal to kz, are all same. I can call it as k. So what I will do is that I will take dx dy dz throughout common and cancel it off and also I will take k common and divide this equation by k. So if I divide this equation by k, by taking k common, I left out with dou square t by dou x square plus dou square t by dou y square plus dou square t by dou z square plus q dot by k is equal to rho cp by k times dou t by dou t. So this term, so this is what the three-dimensional heat conduction equation in Cartesian coordinate system. Now the term k by rho cp is called thermal diffusivity. Thermal diffusivity. So the term thermal diffusivity is alpha, which is equal to k by rho cp. So therefore this expression can also be written as dou square t by dou x square plus dou square t by dou y square plus dou square t by dou z square plus q dot by k is equal to 1 over alpha dou t by dou t. Because k by rho cp is alpha, it will become 1 over alpha dou t by dou t. Where the significance of thermal diffusivity is that it gives us an idea how fast heat can penetrate into the system. The analogous for thermal diffusivity is kinematic viscosity. So kinematic viscosity gives us an idea how fast viscosity is penetrated in the fluid. So similarly, thermal diffusivity will give us an idea that how fast heat can penetrate through the system. If thermal diffusivity is higher, heat flow in the system is faster. If thermal diffusivity is lower, heat flow in the given system will be slower. So therefore, higher the value of thermal diffusivity, faster will be the penetration of heat. So therefore, by knowing thermal diffusivity, we can determine how fast heat can penetrate in the given system. Now, coming for special cases, if I come for special cases, first case is steady state heat conduction without internal heat generation. Without internal heat generation. This is known as Laplace equation. This is known as Laplace equation. So Laplace equation is given by for steady state, temperature is function of space alone, it is independent of time. So therefore derivative with respect to time will become 0 for steady state, and there is no heat generation inside the system. So therefore the second term will also become 0. Hence the Laplace equation will become dou square t by dou x square plus dou square t by dou y square plus dou square t by dou z square is equal to 0. So this is nothing but del square t is equal to 0, where del is called Laplace operator. So this is about the special case 1, that is Laplace equation, which is based on steady state heat conduction without internal heat generation. Now coming for the second special case, that is steady state with heat generation, we have steady state heat conduction with internal heat generation. This is known as Poisson's equation. Coming for Poisson's equation, it is steady state heat conduction. Since it is steady state, temperature is function of space alone, it is independent of time. So therefore derivative of temperature with respect to time will become 0. And we have internal heat generation, therefore the second term will exist. So Poisson's equation is given by dou square T by dou x square plus dou square T by dou y square plus dou square T by dou z square plus q dot by k is equal to 0. Now finally we have unsteady state heat conduction, unsteady state heat conduction without internal heat generation, without internal heat generation, which is termed as diffusion equation. Since it is unsteady state heat conduction, temperature changes with respect to time for transient, that is for unsteady states, and there is no internal heat generation, therefore second term will become 0. Hence the diffusion equation will be dou square T by dou x square plus dou square T by dou y square plus dou square T by dou z square, which is equal to 1 over alpha dou T by dou T. So this is known as diffusion equation. Diffusion equation. So these are the three special cases, that is Laplace equation, Poisson's equation and diffusion equation for general heat conduction equation in Cartesian coordinate system. Let me pause this video for a while so that people can copy it down. Later we will solve for one dimension heat conduction in Cartesian coordinate for a plane wall. Now moving ahead, for one dimension steady state without internal heat generation heat conduction equation analysis through a plane wall, we have the next topic, that is one dimension steady state heat conduction without internal heat generation. Now moving ahead, for one dimension steady state heat conduction without internal heat generation, as I said, it is one dimension, so therefore y direction and z direction will be neglected. It is steady state, so therefore temperature is a function of space alone. It is independent of time, so therefore derivative of temperature with respect to time will be equal to 0. And we have no internal heat generation, therefore the second term will also become 0. That is q dot by k will also become 0. So therefore substituting the one dimension, so I will get d square t by dx square is equal to 0. So since it is one dimension, y and z direction are neglected. Without internal heat generation, the second term will become 0. Steady state, so therefore RHS will also become 0. Now this is for heat transfer through a plane wall. Consider a plane wall like this. We have a plane wall like this. Let the length of the wall be L and thermal conductivity be K. Now let the wall temperatures be T1 and T2, which are known to us, and we have a temperature gradient T2 minus T1 by L. Let us take this point as x is equal to 0 and this as x is equal to L for a plane wall. Now I want the temperature distribution equation first, so therefore we find temperature distribution in order to find the temperature distribution. First let us take this as equation number 2. Now to find the temperature distribution, I want to integrate this equation twice. So therefore, integrating equation 2. So if I integrate equation 2, I will get dt by dx is equal to constant of integration c1. This is because of the reason it is an indefinite integral. There is no limits for temperature we have here. So let us take it as, now let me rearrange this equation to the form dt is equal to c1 dx. Now again if I perform integration, again integrating the above equation. So if I integrate the above equation once again, I will get temperature T1 as C1x plus C2. Take it as equation number 3. Now we have two constants C1 and C2. We have two boundary conditions at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to L. Now substitute the boundary condition and find the constant C1 and C2. We have the boundary conditions the first boundary condition is that at x is equal to 0, we have temperature T is T1. The second boundary condition is that at x is equal to L, temperature T is equal to T2. Now from first boundary condition, if I substitute to equation 3, we have put x is equal to 0, so therefore T1 is equal to C2. So from first boundary condition I will get T1 is equal to C2. Now from second boundary condition, substitute x is equal to L, T is equal to T2, you will get T2 is equal to C1L plus C2. We know that C2 is equal to T1, so therefore if I simplify, I will get C1 as T2 minus T1 divided by length of the element. So now you know the values of C1 and C2, so therefore I get the temperature distribution from equation 3 as, from equation 3, the temperature distribution T at any point on this plane wall will be T2 minus T1 by L into X plus T1. So this is the expression for temperature distribution through this plane wall. It is T1 plus T2 minus T1 by L into X. Now moving forward to find the rate of heat transfer, we will get the rate of heat transfer as rate of heat transfer. Coming for rate of heat transfer, we know that Q is equal to minus Ka dt by dx. I should evaluate at place at x is equal to 0. Now we know temperature distribution equation, so therefore substitute the temperature distribution and solve, you will get the answer. So if I substitute the temperature distribution and solve, I will get, first let me find dt by dx at x is equal to 0. So differentiating this by substituting x is equal to 0, we have differentiation of T1 is 0 because T1 is constant independent of x. Now derivative of this is T2 minus T1 by L. That is T2 minus T1 by L. So this is the differentiation of temperature distribution T, what we have. So now substitute this in rate of heat transfer equation, we will get Q is equal to minus Ka T2 minus T1 by L. So multiply negative sign inside. So therefore rate of heat transfer will become Ka T1 minus T2 by L. So this is of the form Q is equal to T1 minus T2 divided by L by Ka, which we already discussed in our previous lecture. This L by Ka is thermal resistance for flow of heat due to conduction for a plane wall. So this is of the form I is equal to delta V by electrical resistance R. So therefore I can write Q is equal to delta T by R thermal resistance due to conduction, where R thermal resistance for a plane wall is given by L by Ka. So flow of current is equal to difference in voltage by resistance, electrical resistance, whereas flow of heat is equal to difference in temperature divided by thermal resistance. So comparing the electrical analogy to heat transfer, we can state that thermal resistance is given by L by Ka for conduction mode of heat transfer through plane wall. So this is the expression for temperature distribution and rate of heat transfer for heat transfer through a plane wall in Cartesian coordinate system. Now, if I move for composite wall, I can write for composite wall as, let me consider a composite wall like this, having made of two different materials subjected for convective heat transfer on both sides. Let us take this point as 1, this point as 2, this point as 3, this point as 4, and this point as 5. Let us call the convective heat transfer coefficient as H inner T1, this as H outer T5, and we have the variation of temperature from T2 to T4. Let me have T3 here. So like this, let us consider the temperature distribution. Here the temperature might be taken as T2, T3 and T4 like this. Let the thermal conductivity as K1 and area of first wall as A1. For second wall I will take thermal conductivity as K2 and area as A2. Let the thickness of first wall be L1 and thickness of second wall be L2 like this. Let us consider a plain composite walls subjected for end convection on both sides. Let heat propagates from left hand to right hand. We will assume T1 is very high compared to T5. Now for steady state, we know that for steady state Q is constant, that is Q1 to 2 is equal to Q2 to 3 is equal to Q3 to 4, which is equal to Q4 to 5 are all equal to Q for steady state. So now if I write heat transfer between 1 and 2, we know that Q1 to 2 can be written as heat transfer due to convection, that is temperature difference T1 minus T2 divided by resistance due to convection, that is 1 by Hi A1. So this area. So therefore I will get the value of Q1 to 2 as, or I will get the value of temperature difference T1 minus T2 as Q1 to 2 times 1 by Hi A1. I can call this as resistance 1. So similarly I can write for Q2 to 3 as T2 minus T3 divided by resistance due to conduction, that is L1 divided by K1 A1. So hence we can write T2 minus T3 as Q2 to 3 times the resistance, that is L1 by K1 A1. For Q3 to 4, again I can write it as T3 minus T4 divided by conduction resistance, that is L2 by K2 A2. So from which we can state that T3 minus T4 is nothing but Q3 to 4 times the conduction resistance L2 by K2 A2. So similarly I can write T4 minus T5 as Q4 to 5. Here the resistance is because of convection, that is 1 by H naught A2. So this is what we get. So now the temperature difference T1 minus T5 can be written as T1 minus T5 can be written as T1 minus T2 plus T2 minus T3 plus T3 minus T4 plus T4 minus T5. So now if you observe, I can write T1 minus T5 as, so substitute these here, and we know that the Q is constant, that is Q12 is equal to Q23 is equal to Q34 is equal to Q45 are all equal to Q. So therefore throughout I can take Q common. So if I take Q common, we have the resistances, that is 1 by Hi A1 plus L1 by K1 A1 plus L2 by K2 A2 plus 1 by H naught A2. So hence I can write this as Q is equal to T1 minus T5 by sum of resistances R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4, the four resistances. So in general we can write it as Q is equal to delta T by summation of resistances, that is resistance due to convection and conduction resistances. So this is the general expression for heat transfer through a composite wall. Heat transfer through a composite wall where R1 corresponds to 1 by Hi A1, R2 corresponds to L1 by K1 A1, R3 corresponds to L2 by K2 A2, and R4 corresponds to 1 by H naught A2. And also I can write this as, if I want to write the heat transfer between 1 and 3, I can write as Q is equal to T1 minus T3 divided by, we have two resistances, that is 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, it is R1 plus R2. Similarly, if I want to write between 2 and 4, I can write it as T2 minus T4 divided by R2 plus R3. Similarly, if I want to write between 3 and 5, it is T3 minus T5 divided by R3 plus R4. So you can write between any two points. It need not be consecutive. It can be a jumping of one unknown temperature in between. So this helps us to solve various types of problems on composite walls. Once I take up problems, this will become more clear. So this is the derivation for temperature distribution and rate of heat transfer through a plane wall, and also the rate of heat transfer for composite wall. That's all from this lecture. Thank you all.